Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tips and Tricks for How to Look Good Naked and Why You Should Love Yourself Even If You Don't. I'm Joe Tierney. I'm here with my co-host, Amber Riley, or actually, I'm her co-host. I'm riding on her coattails on this one. So, hi, Amber. How are you? How was your week? Your hair looks beautiful. You're looking funky and festive and fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had a good week. I had a really good week. I'm actually excited about this upcoming week because I'm going zip lining for the first time Saturday night. So I'm super pumped about that. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. So that's got my happiness factor up.
That is exciting. I tried it actually. I don't think it was last summer, the summer before on the beach in Wildwood in New Jersey, and it was a great time. It certainly wasn't, one of those massive zip lines. It was just a small one on the beach, but it was still pretty fun.
So this is going to be in Louisville's. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, where Churchill Down Kentucky Derby is. And this is going to be what's called Louisville Mega Cavern. So they do this thing called Light Up Louisville, where you go for like, I don't know how many miles it is, where they just have it lit up with all kind of festive things. But it's basically a cave. It's an underground. So it's going to be underground zip lining.
Wow.
And we got a lot of lights and visuals. And so I'm super excited about it.
Well, you're going to have to wear one of those dash cams on your helmet.
I have this
or on your phone.
I have this thing that I can put it over one shoulder and I can wrap my phone. So I might go video and see how much I would actually be able to. I don't know. I've never been, so I don't know.
I definitely think you should try it. So I think, well, I don't know how high up it is, so maybe it's an entirely different scenario, but you're probably going to be in a harness and in a strap, so you will be able to potentially kind of keep track of your phone. You'll have to see. That's exciting. That's exciting news. And I am actually on vacation again.
Oh, you are? Awesome.
I'm at the beach, which is why I'm not in my usual setup. So it's been a great week, and I think that it's very refreshing and cathartic to be at the ocean. I think that it just gives you an entirely different perspective on life. I I really want to talk about. I know we said we were going to talk about happiness. And I definitely want to do that. But I also want to talk about, because I definitely want to give you props for last week. I was here, and I usually go on a very long walk in the mornings. And, I actually haven't been able to keep up with my old pace, but I have been doing about 6 miles every morning along the ocean. And I love that. But I listened to last week's episode as I was walking today in preparation, and I want to say how great I thought it was. Not necessarily my participation, although, self-love, I think I'm fabulous too.
Right,
but I think there was a lot of great advice in there, and I think one of the key things we spoke about motivation, and remember we talked about that. And I really haven't been motivated to get out there and do the walk, and I did get up every day, and I was disciplined, and I did that. And I think that really was instrumental. But I think talking about happiness and the factors and how we arrive at happiness, I really had to take a hard look at myself. And I think segueing into this, I want to talk about that. I realized that I'm not very happy. I have a lot of happy
I'm glad
moments.
You said that because I've realized the same damn thing.
So, I have countless happy moments in my life, and I don't want to take away from that, but I do not have an underlying pervasive feeling of happiness. And I think that is, somebody asked me today, actually today, and I was putting on my workout clothes, and they're tight. We talked about that last week, and somebody said to me, "I don't understand. You work out, you exercise all the time." And I do. I exercise every day, nearly every day for I would say at a minimum a minimum an hour a day, sometimes 2 or 3
really?
hours a day.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
well,
Okay.
in regard to walking and strength training in combination, I always do the 45-minute strength. I don't want to say always, but 5 or 6 days a week, I do 45-minute strength training. And I think that it really, when I took a hard look at myself, and they said that to me, is because you can eat your way through any training regimen. And that's really what I've been doing. I mean, I haven't totally derailed, but I'm certainly not where I want to be. And I know it's because I'm unhappy. And I think there are many, I had to take a look at why I'm unhappy. I think that, and that's part of the research I was doing when when we discussed how to find happiness. I think you have to understand why you're unhappy too. And I think that, yeah, I had to take a hard look at myself, and we can talk about it a little more in depth as we go through our discussion. But that's my big revelation for the week. I'm unhappy.
You know,
I'm pretty happy about it, but I'm pretty happy that I uncovered that I'm unhappy, but I'm still unhappy.
I had lunch with my dad today, which is always, since we've never had a relationship, you never know how that's going to go. But he made a couple comments today that really got me thinking about this topic. And so my best friend stopped by right before the show came on. And I said, I find it very hypocritical that I'm getting ready to go on and do an episode about how to find your happiness and how to be happy. And I don't feel really happy right now. Like, again, I've had many happy moments and I'm not depressed. I'm not upset. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any pervasive negative feelings either right now. But I also happen to, one, I have put on a couple pounds. And although most people would be like, I can't tell, you're always your own worst critic and you can tell the difference, which is all that really matters. You know what I'm saying? When you start feeling like you have weight on you, you know what I'm saying? It's that. I'm also at a point with my business where I'm working on a part of it that, although extremely important, it is not my strength. It's not something that it's not my superpower. It's the technical side of the stuff. It's not anything. And I feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel because I don't know the information well enough to even set up little wins for myself. And then I've
I,
also realized that I've allowed myself to get into a rut of too many working days and not enough days that are placated towards rest and relaxation or enjoyment. And it's not that, when I say that, it's not that I'm working 12-hour days on all the other days, but what I'm finding is that on those days that I even have, let's say 8 hours, I'm not being as productive and I'm not getting as much done because it's been such a long streak of so many days that it's like my body's fighting me. You know how they say you only have attention for about 45 minutes before you need to take a break and then, get a fresh start. It's like my body. And so I'm just going through like a crazy little set of situations that are not overjoying right now. So it really is hitting at this perfect episode at the perfect time. It really is.
yeah, I agree. And I think that, I do have a day job. And of course, I'm not going to speak to that. But I think I'm feeling unfulfilled there because these are my passions, my coaching and helping people. So for me, I think that's part of it. And I think I have to make a decision there and really I understand why I'm unhappy, but the reality is, there is a comfort level there. You have a steady income and yeah, and I've been doing that line of work for a very long time. So I think that's really part of it, that sense that I have not taken the leap to step away from that, although at my core, I believe I should, to really dedicate myself. I think it's the same thing. I've gained some weight, and I think that also leads to, I talked about it last week, I don't feel as authentic as I would like to be. I think there are relationships in my life that need reevaluating, and I think, and this is another point. I was listening to last week's episode, and we spoke about the people who are in our tribe, and I think that really spoke to me, and how they sabotage you or attempt to sabotage you when you have goals and objectives. And I have someone in my tribe who really I can't escape very often, and they are not comfortable with my change, and in fact they would prefer that I'm less healthy. And I think that really speaks to the erosion that relationship. And I really have to address that. I think that that's another thing. And certainly I think that when you don't look your best, you don't feel your best. And that really is the core of this program. And people don't really understand it. We're not saying anybody has to be a supermodel, but really, if you don't feel healthy and you're not looking your best, you don't feel your best. And I think everybody's comfort level, it doesn't mean you have to weigh 120 or 150 or 170. We can't speak to what's best for everyone in their comfort zone, but I know I'm not at my comfort level. I know I'm not where I feel my best, and I know I'm not where I look my best.
I agree. And, I think the irony, though, is that I don't think that we're probably the only health coaches out there that have these same feelings of, if I'm not doing everything perfect, if I don't look the part, that kind of like that imposter syndrome. But my catch line is literally, I'm going to make you fall in love with the image staring back at you in the mirror. And I passed the mirror the other day and I'm like, oh, hell no, I do not like that image. No. So, yeah.
I feel the same way. I'm on vacation, and in our room, there's this really like a whole wall of mirrors. So I can't avoid it, and I think I agree. I said to myself, tomorrow, September 1st, is the beginning of fall, and I really want to delve into that. I do have a question, and I don't know if we want to talk about it today too. We were talking about the sugar last week and the 20 to 30 grams. And I really want to delve into that more next week on our grocery store episode. But when we're speaking about that, and you spoke about, we're not speaking about any artificial sugars, and we're speaking about natural sugars and you gave the example of in a sweet potato. So if we're talking 20 to 30, even of natural sugars, I mean, that really eliminates even a lot of fruits.
Right. So
yeah.
When I was saying 20 to 30 grams, that is, it's kind of like that X number that I throw out when people are trying to get into ketosis, which is when you see that those incredible weight loss efforts from genuinely burning the fat, and you see it in places that you actually would look for it. What I mean is that 30, I think I said 30% of your diet should be vegetables. So 50% protein, 30% carbs, and 20% fats.
So what carbs are we talking about? I know that when we're speaking about that, even I was thinking about Randy. He's not on. He may be sleeping in the fast food, and I was really, and for next week I spoke to him today actually, and I really want to look at two things in regard to fast food and the grocery store. One, some of these options, can they be made at home? I want to look at the price differential, because I do believe that he probably spends much more on fast food than if we put it and we equated it to what he could buy in the grocery store. But for instance, even breads have sugar in them. If he wanted to have a hamburger, I just want to put it out there so we can talk about it more next week. But if we wanted to recreate some of these recipes that he likes at home, and he likes Subway, he likes McDonald's, he seems to deviate towards the sandwiches. So how do we do that? How are we going to be able to advise him to do that? So I just want to put it out there so that you're mindful of that. And I think we should talk about that next week.
I have a pen so I can take a note or two. That's actually one of my favorite things, is taking food that you get out and recreating it at home. And I actually did that, not so much for the health benefits in the beginning, was the price difference. Because believe it or not, eating at home is so much more inexpensive. Even when you're buying the good food, it's so much more. It's cheaper because not only do you have meals, multiple meals for that, but you can also make sure exactly what's being put in there. And then oftentimes you don't have to change the entire recipe. You just need to switch out one or two ingredients with a healthier version. And maybe instead of frying it, let's say we're going to make some French fries. You know what I'm saying? Although I would say go with sweet potato fries because they're really good. But, if you were doing the traditional hamburger and fries, we could make our own fries, but let's bake them in the oven.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay,
so I think for him, in particular, or anybody really. I mean, when you're spending $5 a day you don't realize, you think it's a cheaper option, but when you're spending 5 times 30, and I'm sure it's much more than five, he's saying a Big Mac, and I have to assume a Big Mac meal is $8, $10. I'm not sure. I don't typically eat that, but $10 a day times 30. I mean, that's $300. I mean, for a single person, you could really uh, really get some really quality $300 worth of quality groceries that would last you for the month. I believe, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to get way more bang for your buck. And I mean, yeah, just it's hands down. It doesn't appear because it's only $5 here and $5 there, but at the end of the day, yes.
Yeah, agreed. All right, great. All right, so let's get into our happiness, and I think that that's something we're going to tease. Well, I want to tell everybody, and I want to tell you. I don't know if you've had the opportunity. I don't think you accepted my invite into our Facebook group.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will look at that.
So we're building a little audience in there, but you're not in there. But
I will do that today, guys. I promise.
so we do have an audience, and really I just started inviting people today, but we already have 30 people in there just for today.
Amazing. I love our little tribe.
I do too. So I want to show this, and Will is saying, I don't know if I buy fast food more for the taste, price, or convenience. There's something about having a burger and fries in 2 minutes, and I think that that's true. And I want to speak about that next week. I mean, Will, we're going to get more into that next week, because I think that, and particularly for single people, and even for myself, I mean, it's tough to cook for one. Like even my own children, they don't eat what I eat. So sometimes I'm like, do I really want to drag out all the pans? And I do it. And I think we spoke about this, the meal prepping, and there are ways to do it. So let's add that to our agenda next week too. The tips and tricks for the meal prepping, so that people aren't stuck in the kitchen every single night. And I think that that's a great point too. So thanks for pointing that out. Well, I appreciate that. Um, I want to talk about, so we have the Facebook group. I have and I'm going to put this all in a pin it post in the group. So we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. we're we're going everywhere, and Amber and I are both on Clubhouse, so I'm going to put all of our handles there, and we're both on Instagram separately, but we also have a tips and tricks Instagram. So we're going viral, people. I was motivated by that coast to coast trending nationwide last week, so I had worldwide.
Oh, it's worldwide. Okay.
So Will's agreeing with me here, and he's saying, let's bring up his comment. Yes, Joe, I am a single man living by myself and working 8 to 10 hours a day. Prepping isn't what I want to do when I come home, and I don't want to eat the same thing for the next 4 days. So noted, and we're going to try to address that next week. Today, Will, we're talking about happiness. And Will is actually a pretty happy guy, and I admire that about him. He has a lot of self-confidence. He exudes self-confidence, actually, and he seems to be somebody who I would consider to be pervasively happy. But of course, I think that that's something that I see from the outside looking in. And I think that people would probably imagine that I'm very happy as well, and you for that matter.
Right.
And for us to say here on a live show that we're not happy might surprise some people as we're laughing about it. But I think that that's true. And I want to talk too about gratitude. And I think that this is really a key for me before we get into that piece. I think that we hear and listen to people telling us all the time that we should live life from a sense of gratitude. And I agree with that. But as I was walking today and I was thinking to myself how fortunate I am, and I know that I am, but at the same time, I've worked very hard for a very long time. So there is a degree, a depth of fortune, but there's also a work ethic that I have. And I thought to myself, do I, just because I get to go on several vacations a year and I have certain luxuries And I hate to use the word privilege because it's really taken on a different connotation in society today. So I don't necessarily want to say privilege, but it's hard. But does that mean because I have those few happy moments that I have to settle for the rest of the year? And I think that we always say people can't have everything, but I think you should have things that make you happy. And I think that just because you have a certain degree of success or wealth, it doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your real happiness. And I think that we see that all the time in the other groups that we're in, that we have all these people who, they're almost in a second life and they're trying to find fulfillment because they're missing something in their lives. And I give them all credit for that. So
Well, the
that's
greatest
where my
tragedy, as Tony Robbins said, is that to have success and have achievements and no fulfillment. So I lived my life in my 20s and 30s in that by me, I'm going to get it done. I can do it. I can make it happen. And I'm this part of my life or this season of my life, I'm trying to live in that through me type energy so that it's not so much push, pull, and things just tend to flow a little bit more naturally. So just, we learn as we age.
Yeah, we do. And here's Will again. And he's saying, happy, am I happy? It's a facade, Joe. It's all a facade. Happiness to the outside, and it's just a perception. And I think that that's really common. I mean, remember last week, Brandon said the same thing. And Brandon said, what is happiness essentially? And Randy said he hasn't felt it in a very long time. So I want to get into the exercises, and I want to post them into the Facebook group. We don't have a lot of people here tonight, but we all right, here's Will again. I want to keep going with his commentary. And I'm getting stuck. The easiest way to put it is I am proud of my work ethic in both podcasting and my work, but I am not happy. And I think that Amber and I feel the same way. Well, we were speaking about that. I don't know if you were here on the top of the hour. And I agree. I think that there are things, and so we want to delve into how do we know what really makes us happy? Because I think you're exactly right. From the outside, I think people would believe that I have everything to make myself happy. But I think that the things that I once thought would make me happy, I have all of those things. I have a family. I have a career. I have fulfillment, passions, but I think that I've also sacrificed some things. So I'm going to let you take the floor and let's talk about some of your exercises. Then I'll talk about some of the things that I found out, and we'll see where it goes from there.
So the first thing that I want to recommend, and you all will hear me say this in or literally any topic that we're talking about, the best thing that you can do to figure out anything is journal. Journal to yourself. You don't need to let anybody else read it, but just journal. So when I was going through the research, what I kept seeing was journal, but what I also saw was rate your experiences. So at the end of the day, don't just say this, I did this, I had fun, but rate it. Or if you journal as you go throughout the day, everybody has different practices, but genuinely rate it. And then something that really helped me figure out what activities we're going to make, because we don't have a happy life. What we have are happy moments that we string together to form a happy life. So the idea is to string more happy moments together. But one of the things that really helped me was when I identified what my core values are, like what is most important. And then if it came down to two activities and I couldn't decide, it was which one of those activities is going to contribute to one of those core values, is going to make me feel something, whether it's my core values being love and connection, health and beauty, and organization and cleanliness. So are these activities going to feed that one of those core values? That was extremely helpful for me. And it's those core values as part of one of my other exercise. And then two other things that I came across when I was just doing a little reading was explore all of those hobbies or those things that you thought that you wanted to do, whether it was now, 5 days ago, 5 years ago, or when you were 5 years old. If you enjoyed it once, try it again. You never know. It could be, we're supposed to play even as adults. So maybe we need to pick up child activities sometimes. So just try something new. And then the other thing was do things that already are will promote happiness. So things in nature, because nature has a way of bringing out the grounding and the healing in us. Anytime you're with connection with friends and family, obviously people that you enjoy time with, volunteer, and then just overall being optimistic. I remember I went through a period of time where I had this job that I hated. I absolutely hated this job. It was in sales. It was selling cable. And I had to be inside. Oh, I hated it. Had to stand inside of Walmart stores and sell Time Warner cable to people. So what I had to do to get me through this job, because I made decent money, was I literally placated a fake smile on my face the entire day. Like when I wasn't talking to somebody, I was like this. It was the cheesiest thing. But the reason why I did that is because just like you cannot think two different thoughts, like you can't think of the Statue of Liberty and Mount Everest at the same time. Pretty quick. You can get there quick, but you can't think the same thing. So being optimistic. So I just literally lied to my body, to my physical body, that I was happy, and I kept a smile on my face. And believe it or not, it has a lingering effects. Optimism has compounding effects. So it's not a fake it necessarily till you make it, but it takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. And when you smile, it triggers other endorphins and emotions. So I literally just placated this fake smile on my face and it got me through it. I don't know why that story came up, but I don't know. I felt the need to say that. So the first exercise is one of my favorite exercises. And so it's called Best Day Ever. And there's 4 steps, just 4. So are we doing the exercise now?
Let's do it. Do we need pencil and paper? Do we give people a chance to grab pencil and paper?
Yes, everybody.
All right, I might need it. All right, I have a paper. All right, I'm going to have to remember. I can replay it.
Right. Okay, so the best day ever, the very first step is we need to figure out where are we right now. So when you're going to start anything, you need to know where you're at. If you're going to get directions somewhere from a GPS, it needs to know where you're starting from. So where are you right now? What is it that you don't like right now? Are you overweight? Are you in a job you don't like? Are you living in a house you don't, where are you right? And I'm not saying it's a laundry list of what you don't like, but just what is your current circumstances? I am so many years old. I'm working right here, and I make X amount, whatever you're talking about. This is called your best day exercise. We just need to know where are you right now. So I will put 60 seconds on the clock. I feel like I should have music. And like I said, you're talking about anything and everything. It doesn't have to just be your physical health. I know that's what this show is about, but relationships, school, whatever.
So we are writing where it is that we are today, where that makes us happy or makes us unhappy.
Well, it's not that what makes you happy or unhappy. It's just where are you today? Like I am currently 45 years old. I am 5 pounds overweight. I am
working.
I'm currently single. Yeah, just the circumstances of your life right now.
Oh, all right. So,
okay. So the second step is I want you to imagine it is a year from now. Okay. And it is the very best day of your life. Okay. So close your eyes. I want you to imagine the very best day of your life. Who are you with? What are you doing? What are you feeling? What emotions are you feeling? Paint me a picture. What does the best day of your life look like?
And when we say who are you with, can it be
You
even
can
if
be by
it,
yourself, or you.
or can it be with someone you haven't met yet? Or
Oh, yeah,
if
sure.
yeah. So we're not necessarily, if you're single and you want to envision the person that would you envision yourself in a relationship with.
Correct. Yes.
And I think, and for anybody who, envisions their body in a different way, how do you look? Right?
Yeah,
How are
and
you looking?
make it visual. So, like, when I said paint me a picture, I really want you to paint me a picture. You know what I'm saying? I want to feel the emotion when I'm reading it. I feel like I have so much energy. I bounce out of bed. Now that I'm 52 pounds less, you know what I'm saying? Whatever your number is. But really paint me a picture. The more vivid and emotional filled that you are, the better effect it's going to have. And anytime we're talking about our visions, guys, so it's like you can't just think positive. It's not just about the thoughts, it's about the emotion. When you create a vision board, what you're doing is you're creating something to evoke emotion, because emotion is what actually drives us. You don't want the new car because you like the new car. You want the new car because of the feeling you're going to get when you're in the new car, whether it's because of how it drives or because of what your friends will think. So it's the feeling. So make it as vivid and emotional filled as possible. The third steps is what skills, what steps do you need to learn that you can do yourself in order to be able to have that best day ever? So do you need to learn a new trade? If you're looking to meet somebody, what do you need a what's the word I'm looking for?
What resources do you need,
Right.
right?
You need like
Resources.
array of eligible bachelors, you know what I'm saying? So the
Right.
skills you need is networking, and you need stuff like that.
Right. Do you need to learn nutritional skills? Do you need to
Correct.
learn exercise? Do you need, if you want to be a lawyer, do you need to go to law school?
Right. What are the natural things in your eyes? And then the very last step is probably the most critical. Everybody focuses on step 3 because that's strategy. But step 4 is really what brings it in. It's why we have the same step 7 in our 7 steps. But it's, who do you already know in your circle, in your life, that has any of the skills or knows any of the people that you need? Because we're all just 2 degrees of separation. So used to be 6. I really do think it's 2 now. But who do you already know? Because it's not what you know, it's who you know. You can pick up a book and learn the information. You know what I'm saying? You can go to a class and learn the information. But if you have somebody that's mentoring you and teaching you like on the job, that is information that's going to be cemented so much further down.
And I think that you and I are we exemplify that so much, because in the last year we have made so many connections just really from one person, and it really is 20 deep now. I have people that I would consider part of my intimate circle who really can propel me forward, who I respect and admire, and they're not entirely where they want to be either.
Mm-hmm.
But as a tribe, I mean, you can have more than one tribe. We have the Coast to Coast tribe is something different, but I think that I'm going to rename it the Sherry tribe.
Right.
Right. I don't want to call it that other tribe, because I think, that tribe we outgrew, and I think you can outgrow a tribe. We outgrew that tribe, and now we're really with people who
and we're deliberately not saying the name of it, guys, because it's a cuss word. So we're not trying to keep this top secret. It's just inappropriate.
Yeah. So, and I think we want to give credit to where it deserves now, where it belongs. So the Sherry tribe, and we're going to call it that.
I don't think she would like that because I really do feel like this is we'll talk about this later, but this is more of a group effort. She kind of
Right, collaborative effort.
away, but
So we're going to have to think of something, right? Well, and we can't, it's not even, we branched out. We have Michael in there now. So we can't even, we could say we were the Wonder Women, but we have to think of something else.
right. So
All right, let's
anyways,
go.
so we got our 4 steps. So where are you right now? You know, what is the GPS starter location? The second is best day ever. Everything goes right that you want. Everything you've been looking for. Best day ever. Paint the picture. What does it look like? Third step is what skills do you need to gain? What talents do you need to get? What do you need to have in order to be able to genuinely have that best day ever? And then fourth is who do you already know or who can you reach out to that maybe is one person removed that you can just go ahead and reach out to? And I like to throw one thing is what one step can you do within the next 24 hours to lead you in the direction of the best day ever? I usually say 1 hour, but I'll give you 24 hours. Never leave the sight of a plan without first taking a step. That's by Tony Robbins.
So let me ask this, Amber. Do we have this? Is there a blueprint for this, like anywhere that we can post into the Facebook group for people who aren't watching it live?
Sure, I can get you one. Yeah. I don't have it necessarily on my computer, but I can get you one over. Absolutely.
Great. And then we'll post that so that for next week, we can certainly, if anybody wants to follow up and jump on. I think that some of the people who were on last week and what were interested in this topic aren't on live tonight. So I'd certainly like to give them an opportunity to take advantage of these skills and abilities. Of course, hopefully they're going to rewatch the show, but if we put in the Facebook group and it's something concrete, then they'll have a clear picture of it as well.
I'll write that down. Absolutely.
And I haven't, and I have a special guest. I have a special guest. Courtney's tuning in. I want to bring that up and say hi to Courtney, but she is saying Maddie is watching me and she says, hi, Maddie is my 5-year-old niece. So I want to say hi to Maddie and hi, sweetie. And when are you coming to visit me? and I miss you. So I love that. So I think that I want to talk about, and it's funny because you said the journaling, and I think that this is particularly true. Something that I read today, and I don't have my notes, of course, with me, but it said that what happens when you've done all the things that are supposed to make you happy, because we read everything. You're supposed to meditate, it's going to make you happy. You're going to journal, it's going to make you happy. Long walks, and what happens when those things just aren't working? And I think that a piece of advice that I read about that is when you're in that situation, really take stock of the moments when you are happy, when you're happiest. It's said to text yourself, write it on the notes on your app, on your phone or something. Take notice of the times when you're really happy, and then remember who you're with, what you're doing. And it said to delve into it. And this is what I was thinking about today when I was on the walk. And this is something that I hadn't really thought about in that level. What about that walk makes me happy? Is it that I'm spending time alone? Is it that I'm out in nature? Is it that the sun's shining on me? Is it just the peace in the moment? And when you start to look down and really delve down to what about that, because I can say, oh, taking a walk makes me happy, but what about it makes me happy? And I think that I really started to think about that. And I think some of the things are exactly what I said. I like being out in nature. I love the ocean. And I think there's peace. It's a sense of peace. But of course, that doesn't mean that I want to spend every moment alone. I certainly don't. But it was something that is one thing that makes me happy. And I'm going to take note of that throughout the week. And I encourage other people to do so as well. Who makes you happiest? Who are you spending time with? And maybe on the flip side, when you're feeling unhappy, who are you with? And what are the circumstances that are bringing you down? And I think when we start to look at both sides, what makes us happy and what makes us unhappy, I think that we will be able to pinpoint to a finer degree where it is that we may need to make changes or modifications in our life.
Sorry, I had to disregard a text phone call. I'm just sending him a text real quick. I apologize about that, man.
That's okay. I thought you were jotting down in your notes app how happy you are being on the program with me. So I
My
think that that's something to be mindful of.
I do
So
think the journaling is a big one because we don't always remember. So I've gone through different stages in my life. Sometimes I'll journal just in the morning. Sometimes I've gone journal just in the evenings. But I will tell you when it was the most effective is when I actually carried my journal around with me all day long, just all day long. And I might even just write a paragraph, but I journaled throughout the day. And I think that was what the point is that sometimes at the end of the day, it's difficult to remember those points in our day that brought us a lot of happiness. So that's why we should literally start writing just, even if we kept just one of those little small notebooks and we ever felt the emotion of one of over 5. So when I give my clients a rating of, 1 to 10, 10 is you're feeling amazing. 1 is, life sucks. So in reality, if you are feeling anything under a 5, you didn't choose that emotion because you obviously wouldn't choose to feel sad or depressed. It's some kind of conditioning or programming. So I don't even remember where the hell I was going with that. It seemed legitimately important though at the time.
well, I think that that really is key too, and I think that reminds me too about what we talked about with Randy last week about the soda. So many things, so many behaviors, something very inconsequential that anybody would say, well, how does drinking soda really correlate to the grand scheme of his life? But it had so many intimate ties with his childhood and his family, and even what you said, the marketing. And I think that when we start to delve into those things, that is important to take note of. What are those conditions, the conditional programming that we receive that are holding us back and really limiting our happiness? And I think so many things can be tied to that. So much of our unhappiness can be tied to that.
Well, and I believe that at the end of the day, that's what Tony Robbins preaches about that a lot is when we're unhappy, it's because our current life circumstances doesn't fit our blueprint. So what conditioning did we have growing up that told us that we needed to have 2.5 kids, married, house with a picket fence? You know what I'm saying? So whether I'm not saying that's not still antiquated, but whatever your conditioning and the marketing in your head has said, this is what I got to have. When your reality, your current situation doesn't match that blueprint, that's when we have unhappiness. But what I have found is that, at least in my personal life and with my clients, is that we don't just find happiness when we reach that end goal. Like, progress equals happiness. Somebody write that in the chat. It's not about the end goal. It's progress. It's not necessarily finishing, although that has been the story of my life. Finishing is happiness here lately. But in actuality, it's progress. So for me, especially and if you know exactly what you need to do, but yet you're still not doing it, it starts to erode a little bit more happiness because you're not keeping those little promises to yourself. And when you don't keep those promises, your confidence starts to erode. So it's a cyclical, vicious cycle. I mean, probably even worse if you happen to know because if you don't know how to fix the problem and you reach the end result, you know what I'm saying? That's just your excuse. But if you know exactly what you need to do, yeah. And then I do have one other exercise that I came across, and it's not really to do with happiness, but I thought when I did this exercise months ago, it really helped me pinpoint my purpose or my passion when I was struggling that. So what it does is it asks you 4 questions. So what makes you come alive? Like, what activities are you doing that just literally make you come alive? It's without fail, that's going to make you happy. The other second question is, what are your innate strengths? So what are you naturally good at? You don't have to work at it. You're just gifted in that area. Like for me, organization is just, I don't know. I naturally just think with an organized mind. Well, and the outside world's organized. Up here is not so organized. And then number 3 is, where do you add the greatest value? Where do you feel like you add the greatest value to environments? What are you doing when you're adding that value? And then the 4th one is, how will you measure your life? And I know that sounds like a crazy one, but when I did this exercise, I instantly, when I read that fourth question, how I will measure my life is the quality of the relationships that I have. So that tells me that activities that bring me, which is one of my core values, love and connection, activities that bring me that connection with people that I value, is going to increase the way I measure my life. So it's an activity that brings success, yields results.
I love that. And I think that too, for anybody who, and we're not going to do this here because we really would need to, it takes time, but the what do I want exercise, I find that that's very powerful. And if anybody would like to do that, you can certainly contact me, and I would be willing to do that with you
Well,
on
let's
the side.
explain
But
it to them. Let's just
yeah,
briefly
yeah.
explain to them that
Yeah, so the what do you want is that you ask yourself, you ask a question, what do you want? And then you continuously ask that same question. Really, somebody else should be asking it of
yeah,
you. And then
it really does work better if you're doing it with somebody.
yeah, definitely. And then you just continuously ask that question, and as it goes on, you delve deeper and deeper into what it is that you want. And I believe it's I do it for 5 minutes sometimes because 7 seems like a very long time, but the original exercise said 7. I find that 5 is more effective because by the time 7, and I think you can gauge it when you're doing it with a partner, because you can see when they start to taper off and start repeating the same
Well,
things,
and
and you
you're
can,
not
and
just
then you can
giving
end
a
it.
laundry list either. So, like, let's just do 30 seconds of it for them. So
Okay.
I'll ask you, what do you want?
Fulfillment.
So she's not just going to say, I want a car, I want fulfillment, I want to lose 10 pounds. She's one answer at a time. And then I'll ask her, what do you want?
To bring value.
What do you want? So you just keep going. Now, I will tell you guys, she's trying to think of some really great answers to give right now. Because in reality, when you're doing this exercise, at least the first 25 things, you should be able to spit those off without fail, because you every day walk around talking about what you don't want. So you should
Yeah.
be
So
able to
ask me
spit
again,
out.
and
I'm
I'll
sorry.
do it as if I didn't know the exercise.
Okay. So what do you want?
A new house.
What do you want?
A new car.
What do you want?
Financial freedom.
What do you want?
To be able to travel the world.
What do you want?
To have a partner to travel the world with.
What do you want?
To find companionship.
What do you want?
I want to find a soulmate, a true love.
So what you'll find, guys, is generally you'll have some not repetitive answers, not the same answer, but you'll find themes, like things that, and you'll be able to figure out what is really important. But what also happens is occasionally something random out of the blue that you never would have thought of will pop up, because that's your subconscious mind that you're just allowing to flow. The reason it's done for longer than 30 seconds or a minute is because you need to get all of those things that you already know, that are already in that frontal lobe. And you need to really like empty the brain to where those random, well, what is it that I want? If I have all of this 100 things, what do I want? You know what I'm saying? Really get it all out, because it'll surprise you sometimes.
And it will. And Justin's bringing up something. I'm going to show what Justin's saying. He's saying you don't always get what you want. And that's true, Justin. You don't always get what you want. But the things that you want, I think that when in that exercise is so poignant, because I know, because I've done it several times, I know at the end of the day, my core value is I simply want to be loved. I want to have reciprocal relationships that are whole. And it doesn't necessarily mean in love. Of course I would like that, but I think that reciprocal relationships is very important to me, and to bring value to the community. Those were my two underlying core values and responsibilities, and I think there are many ways to get to both of those things. So no, somebody may not have the greatest romance of the world, but I certainly have relationships in my life that bring me love. It may not always look the way that we envision. And Justin saying, "Well, I agree with this. I definitely have to bring up this. Joanne, you should get paid a lot of money." I'll put that on my list, Justin. Send me a check. Just send me the check right over. But thank you for that. But I think that that's really what it comes down to. I think the purpose is really to get down to what your core values are and what it is that you're looking for, and then it makes it easier to attain those things. And it's not, when you get to the exercise, it's not really that I wanted a new house, and it's not really, yes, those things would be nice, but that at the end of the day, that wasn't really what I was looking for, because I have those things. So I think that that's really, really where things stand in that respect. And when you agree, Amber, it's really not about those superficial materialistic things.
No, actually, I have an exercise that I take my clients for generally in the first session that I have them with. It's called 7 Levels Deep. So I ask them, why do you want to typically lose weight? Whatever their goal is, why do you want it? And it's very similar to the I want, but I just base, so like if they say I want to lose weight so that I can, look great for my prom, or I mean my prom, my my high school class reunion. So why do you want to look good for your high school class reunion? Because I want to impress my ex flame there. Why do you want it? And so you're getting down to the root cause. So what typically happens is I want to lose weight so that I can feel great. Why do you want to lose weight? Or, why do you want to feel great? Because I want to be able to play with my children and be active. Why do you want to do that? Well, because they're going to have grandchildren and I want to be the active grandparent. So what it always comes down to is I want to give them an emotion. I want to give them time. I'm saying it. There's always an emotion and a feeling that you're getting out of it. You don't just want a physical matter object. There's a feeling attached to it.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Definitely agreed. All right, so we're down to the last 7 minutes of the show. I think that we talked a lot about happiness, and I think really the self-love certainly ties into it, and I think self-awareness. And when you really delve in and discover what makes you happy, and maybe you have to start with what makes you unhappy. I think that those two things are very important. And I want to recap about what we're looking forward to for next week. So I think, what did we talk about? We want to do the grocery store. Are we up for that for next week? Is that on our agenda? All right, so Amber's going on location next week to the grocery store, and I'll be fielding the questions on this end. I'll be the administrative assistant next week, and we're going to go ahead, and Amber's going to, you talk about what you're going to do. And I think that
I was thinking in my head, maybe I could get my girlfriend to come and film it, but I don't know if that's necessary.
Right,
so
perfect.
Really, I just was going to go in and kind of explain to people what areas of the grocery store that you should be shopping in, which is obviously the outer areas. But then I wanted to go into some of the aisles, and just like bread, like you mentioned earlier, bread is probably one of the hardest healthy things to buy. It is just so, and it doesn't matter if it's as whole grain, because if the first ingredient says enriched wheat flour, then it's just white flour. And you'll see that literally knocks out 98% of the bread right there. And then you'll see partially hydrogenated oils or something like that. So bread's one of the difficult. So just going in some of these food categories and some of the ingredients to watch out for. The FDA is really sneaky, and they give these companies the abilities to write a lot of things on the packaging. So you can't look at that front label. You really have to look at the core ingredients. Sometimes you can't even just look at, the value in the numbers so much. You really have to look at those, because it can say 0 fat, but if it says partially hydrogenated oils or high fructose corn syrup, it's got fat. It does.
Yeah,
but the FDA says as long as it's less than 0.5 milligrams, they can say no fat. So it's tricky. So that was my plan, but I am open to suggestions. If anybody has anything they want me to cover, particularly like a type of food, or, whether it's certain kind of meats to buy.
I think that's an interesting subject. And I wanted to say, and I would like you to cover that a little bit next week. I think that, we're talking about the hormones and organic meats, and And I think that they are great options, and that's something that I don't always purchase, but I gravitate towards that. Not everybody has the same selection in their grocery stores, and I think that that's something to be mindful of. So what are the second best choices? I think that we want to think about that, and I think that some people don't believe they can afford organic, and that may be true in some instances. So I'd like to see the price differential and look at things like that when we're in there, just to show people the difference between something that's organic and something that's not. And of course, there's always sales. We can freeze things. But I think in particular, the bachelors are much more likely, and even myself, I do it. But if I buy meat and I put it in the freezer, I'm much less likely to cook it. I'll go and buy more fresh meat because it's, it is
You got to
cumbersome to
thaw it
thaw
out.
down.
It's another
Yeah,
step. It just takes
yeah, it's
another
another
step.
step. So I think that that's something too we want to think about. So when we say hit the sales up, and these guys don't want to be at the store every day. I mean, that's just not when you're in your 20s, in your 30s, you just don't want to do it. I don't even want to do it. I do go to the store, but I is too, and we should talk about this. There are so many places now that you can do your order online and you don't even have to step foot in the store. Yeah,
Right.
or you just step in. I mean, it's ready to go, and it's so much it's advantageous, and people should take advantage of it. And most of the times the fee is pretty nominal if there is one, and so in some instances there are no fees. So that's something to be mindful of too.
Also, I'm going to bring this up because I'm actually looking into doing this for maybe a trial basis. But have you heard of HelloFresh?
I have. I have tried it before. And it's tasty, but I think that the selections are limited. I haven't done it in a long time. So you really, and there's so many of them now. There's HelloFresh. There's actually one even in my neighborhood. There are local companies who do it as well, which may be cheaper, but you have to have some you have to have a palette that is more broad than just simple spices. They'll bring out things that you and I would probably like, and I think other people would like them too, but if they may not know what saffron is or tarragon, and then they use things like that, and I think that puts people off sometimes because they're apprehensive, especially men who aren't used to doing a lot of cooking.
Well, see, that's actually why I want to do it. So for me, I'm a very ritualistic, habitual person. So it is not this, somebody mentioned they don't want to eat the same foods for the next 4 days. I have no problem eating the same food every day. But that's what I'm realizing is that the ways that I went about doing things in my 20s and 30s that although yielded results, I'm saying I don't think that I work as well that way. I need more variety in my life. So what I liked about them was that they send you the recipe. They send you all the ingredients, obviously, but they send you the recipe. So if it's something that I liked, I could always keep it on hand. And then what I really enjoy doing is taking that recipe, although HelloFresh strikes me as something that would be mostly healthy because it's fresh, but I could be wrong. And then
Do you see Courtney's comment there? She said she loves HelloFresh, but she thought it was very carb heavy.
Okay.
So that's something to be mindful of
for me.
Yeah. But they may have different options. I've seen a few of them where they can say if you're on keto, if you prefer high carbs and low carb, I think you can tailor it. And I think that HelloFresh has an option like that, and they have a vegan option. So I think it's worth exploring. And I'm not sure how recently Courtney did it, but I do think that they have changed and evolved over time from when they first began. So it's something worth looking into.
I'm pretty good about being able to pick out like some better carbs versus your heavy starches carbs. But also just what I was planning on doing is filming it as I cook it, film it, and put that on social media, like under recipes or, options, stuff like that, to do that for my social media. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be great. You just might want to be mindful of, I don't know if they have any restrictions on proprietary restrictions. You may have to just say I don't know if you have to give them credit or not.
I don't mind. Hell, I'll become an affiliate for them. I don't care.
Good thinking. Millionaires have the 7 streams of income. Good idea.
That's entrepreneur thinking for you right there.
Exactly.
Oh, we're out of time.
I
All
know
right,
it's 8
grocery store
o'clock.
next week.
All right, so grocery store, we're going to look into the fast food options, other fast food options, and I'll look at the price differential on the fast food. I'll try to come up with the average price of some meals and see if I can do some price comparison and compare what's out there in regard to the same types of foods. So that'll be my angle. While you're at the grocery store, I'll be talking the money, the dollars and cents.
Okay.
All right, so great. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for joining in. Will, Justin, Courtney, we certainly appreciate it, and Chris, of course, we appreciate you behind the scenes, and Amber, you're the star here. So thank you for all of your efforts this week and all of your information. And looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to the perimeter of the aisle. And I did want to say this. I forgot about this. When you were saying you challenge everybody to do something within the next 24 hours to propel you towards your best day ever. And I think another thing that I want to encourage people to do is to do something to earn credibility with yourself. And I think that you were speaking about, how we lose our self-confidence, and that is something I try to do every day. If I don't earn credibility with myself, and just getting up and doing the walks when I didn't want to. So that's another thing. It's really along the same lines, but I encourage
Keep
everybody
those
to
small
do that too.
promises to yourself.
Exactly. All right, so great. So here's a promise I want you to keep. Everybody promise to tune in next week and check out the Facebook group. And Amber's going to start inviting some people in too. So hopefully we'll have a robust conversation in the group, and we look forward to it. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you
Bye.
next week. You can play us out, Chris. Thank you.
And